Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lost Ark Lineage Eternal podcast, episode number 2. I'm super hyped about this episode. Now, at the end of last episode, I asked you guys for a better name, because we couldn't keep the old one, and we actually got some pretty cool stuff. The brand new name has been chosen. It is the Lost Eternal. I'm super happy about it. It's going to be cool. So let me redo that intro with the brand new one, the Lost Eternal. So today I wanted to start off by talking in depth about the classes in Lost Ark. Now, I wanted to go over the ones in Lineage Eternal as well, but the thing is that the footage is so old that features some of the classes. It's been around for so long, I highly doubt it's still viable. So I'm going to be leaving out Lineage Eternal in this, but I do want to jump into the classes because there's a lot of really cool systems that are hidden in some of this stuff, and it's just really innovative. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys. I think we're going to get a lot out of this. So yeah, let's begin. Now let's start off with the Battle Master. It's an elemental melee character. So she's got 3 charge orbs. Now it looks like they're charged by standard attacks and some skills as well, but you do have to charge these things up. Now once you have charged them up, essentially you can use them for bigger, heavier attacks. Now you can use, with certain skills, you can see how some take up, 1 of the charge orbs and others take up 3. So there's some pretty big, heavy DPS skills that you can do with this character, by the looks of it anyway. I think it's going to reflect a lot on the tripod system, in my opinion. That's how it's going to be affecting the skills. And if you don't know about the tripod system, maybe I'll talk about it a little bit later. Anyway, let's jump onto the Devil Hunter. Now the Devil Hunter has 3 weapons attached to your 1, 2, and 3 key, by the looks of it. Now your skills in this game are very traditional Korean MMO in terms of like the key bindings. It's Q, W, and E, just slightly under where you would have the keys normally in other action RPGs, over here anyway. Now the 3 weapons that he gets to use double handguns, a shotgun, and a rifle. Now it's quite clear after looking at these that the double handguns are short, quick, bursty attacks. Not a lot of big damage, and that's when the rifle comes into play, where you can do big, slow, heavy attacks. Anyway, let's talk about the Arcana. Pretty straightforward, guys. It's kind of hard to tell exactly how the gambling system works with this, because there is some kind of random chance involved, but she basically uses a card system, so I'm guessing whichever card she draws, it has some kind of different variation. Yeah, I want to see some more about this character in the future, but let's talk about the Warlord. This is the big tank guy with the lance rifle. Now, it's definitely a CC character as well. You can see that it's designed to be tanking, controlling, pulling things into a group, stunning them, and just taking all the hits pretty much. Now, this actual character here, the Warlord, it stacks bullets, and some of its skills uses those bullets as well. Now, I assume that these bullets aren't items. They're gained from killing monsters in some fashion. But yeah, you're stacking up bullets, it's capped at a certain point, and as you notice, each character has some kind of unique system going on with it. Now, this is very similar to the Battle Master, where it has the 3 charge orbs. They've all got something going on that's like this. Okay, the Infighter. This is one of the most unique things I've seen in an action RPG in such a long time. Here we go. So, there's no mana bar. Wow, big whoop-de-doo. But yeah, there's no mana bar. The other classes clearly have some kind of resource system. The Infighter does not. But what you can see on the right-hand screen is her chi. And it's kind of like a balancing wheel. When she uses one skill, the other one gains more points. So it's kind of like you can't just smash one style of skill. She's got 2 that you have to balance out. Once you use that one side or that one kind of resource, then that's gone. So in doing so, but on the other hand, you're pushing up your other one. So, you can jump back left and right, and you got to try and balance it all together. I think this is super innovative, guys. This is the type of thing where I'd see an action RPG release based on this as a selling point. You know what I mean? Yeah, this new action RPG with a balancing skill system, just on this one character. So I'm super happy about this. This is going to be really fun to play, I think. Anyway, now we've also got the Summoner. Now, I did talk about the Summoner last episode. It's a DPS caster. Now, she can also summon minions that run around with you at the same time. I did want to clarify that because last episode I did touch on that. So yeah, she can summon a minion that runs around with her all the time, and it's got its own health, its own damage, and AI. but she also has a secondary summoning category where it does the damage for her. You know, she can drop giant feet from the ground as ice. You guys have seen the trailer, I'm sure. Now, the last class that I want to talk about today is the Berserker. And by all means, this isn't the last class in the game. There's going to be a ton more introduced. Now, this is the big-ass two-handed guy. That typical fantasy that I think is really cool. Now, what makes him special, or his kind of, thing going on, he goes into a Berserker phase. So the way this essentially works is once you hit a certain amount of, rage or Berserker rage, you go into this second phase, and it even animates it in the bottom right in the UI, where you can see it looks like it's got a 1 minute countdown or 60 seconds, which I assume either unlocks brand new skills or just puts the damage through the roof. And I'm kind of hoping that this is a thing you can continue on. So say you hit that peak point, you're in your Berserker rage mode, where it'd be awesome if you can keep attacking and keep that number going and keep that Berserk going, so you're having to move faster and faster. That's something that would make this really good. Alright, so that's a general overview of some of the characters. I'm pretty sure that there's some stuff in there that you guys haven't heard before, but there's a lot of cool systems. Each one is unique in a good kind of way, and I'm really pleased about what they're doing with this. I can't wait to see what they come up with next. A lot of thought's been put into this, in my opinion. Okay, so before we get into some of the questions that you guys asked, there's a couple more topics that I did want to talk about, and that is questing in MMOs. What is it going to be like? And what's the standard kind of thing? Now, I really feel like both Lineage Eternal and Lost Ark are going to be a little bit different, so I want to start off by talking about Lineage Eternal. Based on what I've seen from the gameplay and just my impressions about it, is I kind of get the feeling that Lineage Eternal is going to be more focused on dungeons, dungeon crawling in the middle of some, big building, rather than the big open world type of experience, you know what I mean? Where it's like, go over to the waterfall and kill 20 of these things and come back and, get the reward and the typical kind of fetch questy stuff. Lineage Eternal feels a lot more like a single player style of questing, where you're inside of a room and you're trying to basically get to the end to pursue storyline stuff. That's just my first impression. Lost Ark, on the other hand, is totally different. Like, we know there's gonna be big raids in the game. They've already talked about this and shown off some of them, like the Bluetooth dragon, whatever he's called, but and obviously the big dragon at the end. But there's going to be massive raids in Lost Ark, but there's also the samey kind of job fetch questy stuff as well. There's actually one scene where you see the character in Lost Ark run up on this, second layer of timber and dive down and tackle someone. And that's obviously like a quest that you pick up off an NPC. It doesn't feel storyliney to me, where he just got there and this happened. It feels a little bit like that. There's also like fishing and tons of other jobs that you can choose, which will have their own questing around those particular jobs as well. Two different variations. I mean, it could be both. They could both be exactly the same, but this is just the vibe that I picked up off anyway. I do want to talk about loot, and some people are asking, is there even loot in this game? And the answer is yes, there is loot in the game. It can go so many different ways, because when we look at some of the classes, for example, the Devil Hunter, how it's got the 3 weapons, the handguns, the shotgun, and the rifle. Does that mean that the Devil Hunter has to find 3 sets of weapons to equip on a player? And how's that going to look on the UI? You know what I mean? There's a lot of confusing questions that are like that, where you're like, how are they going to work this out? Or is it just one gun? Or it's really, really odd, guys. So I'm curious to see how this works, but there is definitely loot in the game. There's chests that we've seen, and we've also seen things drop on the floor in the trailer. So we know that there is going to be loot. There's so many ways that they can go about this loot, and I want to talk about things that I find good and what I don't like. I really dislike the loot in World of Warcraft, and this goes back a long time ago. I just felt like when I was playing that game, and please keep in mind I played 3 months of it, like not a lot, but when I played that game, I found that the loot was very lame. It'd be like plus 5%, you know what I mean? Like, just not that appealing. Just items with just plus blah. The tiniest little upgrades. I really dislike this. And it was so slow and boring to me, because I was used to, games like Diablo where, you find an item and it's double your DPS. And then like 2 minutes later, you find another item and it's double your DPS. D3 is really about loot. And it is the action RPG. So, you know, Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal being both action RPG, hack and slash games, and MMOs. There's a really fine balance there. So, yeah, it could go two ways. I will say that I do enjoy the loot in Tree of Savior, and this is a game I have been playing. I know it's kind of boring as well and minimal upgrades, but there's some kind of cool stuff there. And I do feel like, for example, you know, you can play the game and you can find a weapon that's just way better than what you've got. And there's also awesome caps. So like when you get to level 15, you know that your DPS is going to go way, way bigger. When you get to level 40, your DPS is going to spike. I actually don't mind the loot in Tree of Savior, which is surprising. So it's not interesting. It's bland as hell, but I don't know. It just kind of works. Righty guys, so I asked you guys if you got any questions that you wanted to talk about, and I'm super stoked because there's been so much contribution that you guys have added, so I wanted to talk about these questions, and let's get into it. Okay, so Denemy, forgive me in advance if I butcher your username, guys, but I'm trying my best here. But Denemy has 3 questions that he wants to ask, and here we go. So I just played Devilian, another Korean action RPG title. It was terrible. Bad gameplay, characters without physical weight. You know, like when the hero seems like it's skating instead of walking? Yes, I do know that feeling. It's terrible. Weird animations. My question is, do Lineage Eternal and Lost Ark have as good gameplay as Diablo 3? Or should we expect something like Devilian? This is an awesome question. Essentially, you know, is this going to be weighty like Diablo 3 or just fluffy and ice skatey like Devilian? Well, I've actually made a video about Devilian, and I really dislike that game just from looking at it. There's a lot of different stuff with it, but I don't want to rip on any other games right now, but what I will say is that Diablo 3 can't be competed with for its action gameplay. You know, as much as you don't like Diablo 3, it is innovative as hell. It is the smoothest, best, weightiest combat you can get for an action RPG. And if there's one thing Diablo 3 did, out of the many things it did do good, but if there's one thing that really is undeniable from anyone who you speak to, even people who dislike the game, is that it's awesome. Is Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal going to be like this? Well, to be honest, I don't think it will be as good as Diablo 3, because that's a pretty tough standard to get up to, but I do think that it is going to be way better than Devilian. I'll just say that much. I think it is going to be weighty. I think it is going to be well done, and yeah, that's about it. Now, question number 2 is, I caught a few Russian streamers playing Lineage Eternal. How do they get access? And is there some kind of beta route? Here's the link. And yeah, so I checked out the link that you sent. To be honest, it looks legit. I was expecting something fake, but it definitely does look legit. All I know about this is that I think someone posted up on the Lineage Eternal Reddit that, you know, some Russian guy was claiming he got access into the beta on the forums. I actually didn't believe that, but this genuinely looks legit to me. And I get a feeling that if it is legit, NCSoft are going to be pretty pissed off that they've given access, and not even the press have had access to talk about the game and its new features, and then they've just given it some streamer and just shitting online with YouTube with it all. Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy about this if I was them. So yeah, looks legit. Probably won't get invited back again. Now, the third question is, Black Desert Online has region restrictions. We can't play in some EU countries. I know that Lineage will be globally released, but do you have any information about Lost Ark? Will it be a global release too, or will there be some kind of region restrictions? Now, I can't talk about the release date. I don't really, it's just not a topic that I'm going to be talking about at all. But what I can say is that I was looking at its website, and I can't remember what it was, and there was some guy, and he's like, man, I'm from Cambodia. Am I going to have a chance to play this? And I saw this overwhelming feeling of sadness, like there's a lot of people that aren't going to be able to play this game. And that was my first instinct. And that could include Australia as well. I mean, we tend to get bunched up with the with certain servers. We got 2 choices usually. We go North American servers, or even the Asia Pacific ones as well. But I think, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that miss out. And I mean, I think they're going to be following the money in terms of, you know, where they can get their servers in, you know, which has a large audience that will play the game. EU, definitely. EU countries for sure. I wouldn't even worry about that. Last thing I'll say about this is that, look at Overwatch. I mean, this is an example of a big AAA title. I know it's a different genre, but they only support limited languages as well. You'd be surprised. They don't support you think the whole world's going to be able to play it, but they can't. Okay, next question. Do you think Lineage Eternal will be solo or group-based? I think definitely group-focused, and playing solo will be a massive handicap. That's my guess. I recently experienced the annoyance of this in Tree of Savior, how it's just lame playing by yourself, but I don't really want to make friends on the MMO, even though that's kind of the whole point of an MMO, is to group up. But yeah, Lineage Eternal will follow the tradition of the previous games, definitely. Lots of grinding and all that kind of stuff, as you mentioned. All right, next question was, okay, next question. Do you know if the world is open like Black Desert or separated into instanced zones? Now, I can't confirm this for both games, but what I can say is that if you look at some of the trailers of Lost Ark, you'll notice that they'll just spawn in the middle of a random place. And they've taken out like the lighting where there could be like an instant. For those who don't know, what we're talking about is, it's like a big giant open world. You can run around anywhere you want. And when you get to a new area, it just automatically transitioned rather than going through a loading screen. I don't know, like from the trailer, it kind of looks like it's going to have loading screens and stuff. Although they're boasting and marketing the game like it is going to be big and open, and the instance zones won't be a part of the thing. I think that's what the question means. I'm not sure if you're referring to like a boss instance as well, where they'll spawn an event and everyone has to kind of go and do this event. I'm not sure if that was your question, but yeah, good question anyway, and I hope that answered it. Someone said, hey guys, will Lost Ark be gender locked? And the answer is yes, it is going to be gender locked at this point in time that we've seen, and I think they've actually confirmed it as well. So let's hope that they change their mind about that, because I know this is a massive issue. Based on the videos that I've done in the past, everyone, every single video has like 3 or 4 people saying, hey, gender locked, this is going to be gender locked. So anyway, someone asks, where are you from? Greetings from Austria. So I'm from Australia. It's essentially Austria with an extra AL in the spelling. The AL stands for Elvis, so it's Elvis in Austria. That's pretty much how we named our country. And by the way, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan of another YouTuber called Modron, who has an Austrian accent, and I love his accent too. So Austria, stand up. Okay, next question is there going to be an assassin class? This is a cool question because, yeah, like I just went over the classes at the start of the video. So I think that's going to answer the question for you. There's not really an assassin class. I did want to add on top of this and say there has to be some kind of backstab style stealthy character in this game, mainly because it's a staple archetype in games. Every game's got one, and I think both Lineage Eternal and Lost Ark are going to have one too, so I wouldn't be worried about it if you're looking forward to it. And by the way, I usually play those characters too. Okay guys, last question, and it's not really a question, it's more of a suggestion of discussion, so let me talk about it. Here we go. So it says, how about a discussion on how Lost Ark is supposed to have more MMO style elements in it, seeing more than just your party members outside of the map zones compared to Diablo 3, where you only get to see the characters that are in your party and in your game. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this and how you think this will affect the game. This is a really good question, and let me try and interpret this right. What you're saying is like, having the real MMO experience of anywhere you go in the world, there could be a player anywhere, and in the big city, there's going to be 200 people there, and whereas Diablo 3, there's a character cap of 4, and that's all you get. You get your 4 players in the whole world, and you kind of hang out together, and if you don't like it, then you leave the game and join another one. My thoughts about this is I kind of like the closed system, but at the same time, I mean, MMOs are cool too. Like, they're 2 different genres of game. You got to remember, Diablo 3 is an MO. It's a massive online game. It's not a massive multiplayer online game, if that makes sense. They could have gone down the MMO route. I think the original plans for Diablo 3 was going to be an MMO. It's great in both different ways, but I think this game is clearly focused on MMO stuff. I'm not a big fan of doing MMO questing if it's boring as hell, and that's a whole different topic though. That's questing, not reflecting on MMOs, so we'll have to wait and see how it turns out. I like it. I do like it. I think it's going to be cool. Anyway, guys, just before you go, I want to hear your comments on discussion for next week's episode. Any questions that you've got, and thank you so much. The brand new name is The Lost Eternal. How cool is this? Next episode is going to be up at the exact same time as this video and the one last week next week. So subscribe, join me then. Yeah, thanks for hanging out for another episode, guys. I'm super stoked at the way that you guys have been so receptive to these episodes. So awesome. Catch ya.